I'm going to clean my house, and I want to talk a little bit just about something that I'm seeing a lot. Well, it's been going on for quite some time, actually. I would say I need to get another towel. It's something that's just been on our radar for, I would say this is something that has kind of been happening in U.S. culture and politics for a good 15 years. Maybe longer than that. It's been going on, but I think it kind of just always went on in the background. Like, I remember in the 90s, like, you would see ads for the Book of Virtues and things like this, like people that were offended by public TV. Or I think about like my mom when she used to work at a cable company. My mom was always like, don't tell this story, Julia. But my mom is long retired, and she's of a generation that fought for people to have rights and civil liberties that this generation, like a lot of Gen Z people, think it's okay to get rid of. So I am going to talk about it. So, you know, like, having social safety nets is not a bad thing. I know there's a lot of people right now that think, like, social safety nets should be stripped away from the American people. Well, lo and behold, these were funded with our taxpayer dollars. People paid for these things. And average Americans are not getting a benefit from social safety nets being cut, hospitals being closed. This is not going to benefit the average American, but people in higher tax brackets, they're definitely going to get a tax cut. Plus, the conservatives added to the national debt. The one thing that they always said that they never wanted to do, they always said we were anti-adding to the national debt. But they were ready to do it. They were ready to do it in a heartbeat, to give people that make above a certain income bracket a tax cut. But this new big beautiful bill, it's going to cost the average American working family like $600-700 a year, okay? It's not going to put money in your pocket. So this whole new Trump era, like everybody said, like that supports Trump, they think he's so strong on the economy, but everything he's doing has raised the price of groceries, is making the economy worse. He's not proposing anything that's really going to help the average American person. So I just noticed, like, over the last 15 years, really, like, I would say I would trace it back, like, when this started ramping up to the election of Barack Obama, okay? Like, I used to blog, well, I guess you could call it blog. It's a website called Hub Pages. Before TikTok was a big thing, before TikTok really became a big thing, like, this was back in 2008-7, like, there were, like, people used to blog more. Like, this was even, like, people would post on YouTube back then, but it wasn't as big. Back in the days, like, blogging was kind of the way that people would share, like, information or viewpoints, and it's still a good way to do it, by the way. Like, I highly recommend, like, reading good, well-researched blogs, because there are people, like citizen journalists, that do invest in, like, updating blogs that have good information. Like, maybe Reddit actually is kind of replace that to some degree, but the thing about a blog was it would be one person who was very invested in a certain topic that would be updating on this. So this is where I trace this back to. I trace this back to the night that Obama was elected. Like, you know, honestly, I was so happy that Obama was elected. And a lot of people really hate on him, but he was actually pretty centrist, and he did more for our economy to repair that, things that Bush did that actually damaged our economy in some ways. But even though Bush Jr. was not my favorite president, I would rather have that than what we have now. I think we've just gone so off the rails. And there's certain groups that have promoted this, and I kind of can see that back to different groups just kind of coming together. So I remember being excited that Obama was elected. I felt like this was a positive change for America. I was really happy about it. I know some diehard progressives still criticize Obama, but when you think about who we have as president now, I don't know why you do. But I remember just writing something about how I was happy about the election of Obama that night, and there was this lady that came, and this, I talked about this a little bit on my YouTube channel yesterday, and I've tried to get away from politics, but you can't in this new era of, there are conservative elements like Christian nationalist MAGA elements that are kind of pushing it. They're pushing their agenda. So even if you want to ignore politics, you really can't anymore when they're willing to lobby to get legislation passed that will not help the American people. And they're already like going after civil liberties and things that really shouldn't impact them, because the way I see it is this, like, I might have some like beliefs of my own that I think some people would call it conservative, but I always believed that that's for myself. It's not for the general public. I don't believe in imposing my viewpoints on the general public, like what I think and how I live my life. But there are groups in America, like when Obama was elected, they started a whole campaign. And Trump really leaned into it, okay? I know a lot of people probably forget this, but I remember, because I was an adult at the time. If you were a kid at the time, maybe you don't remember these things. Well, Trump was all about like trying to imply that Obama wasn't a U.S. citizen. And some people are like, but that started with Hillary Clinton and the people that wanted Hillary elected, and that some of them were the ones that started it. I'm like, I'm sure there were, of course, there were racist elements that voted for Hillary Clinton. Do you think I deny that? No. But some of those same people are going to lean into the whole white nationalist movement that promoted MAGA and Trump. And I know some people are going to be like, but I'm not white and I voted for Trump and I think he's making America great again. But what is he doing? And have you seen the prices at the grocery store? And he hasn't proposed anything that's really helping our country. But he's great in leaning into populist politics. And I've noticed there's a certain kind of person that really, really, would you ever adopt an adult baby boy? I don't know why you want me to adopt you. That's interesting. You want me to adopt you? I don't know. You can listen to me. That's the closest thing. So, anyway, my whole thought was, I had this lady who came to this, like, blog I wrote back in 2008. I was very young at the time. I was very, very young. So, I was excited that Obama was elected, but she was telling me how it was going to ruin the economy and how he was a socialist. Like, she leaned into all of these tropes. And over the years, I kind of started talking to her more just because she was very persistent and she would comment on everybody's blog and tell them, oh, this is how it really is. And I kind of wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because I felt like I had some commonalities with this person, not politically. Like, I was much more left-leaning. She was very libertarian. But at the time, and I regret this to this day, these libertarian types kind of made me, as a more progressive, Democrat-leaning person, think, oh, maybe I should be more open-minded to their viewpoint. But it was really a trap, and I kind of regret that I ever thought libertarianism could be a way. Like, I literally started to investigate it and to be open to it and to want to vote for a libertarian presidential candidate. And I regret that. You know why? Because it was all a ruse. It was a ruse. I know some people have legitimate concerns with the Democratic Party, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm back to being a Democrat, and I will vote Democrat for the rest of my life, because when you see what the Republicans are willing to do to this country and the elements that are driving their politics, which are basically going to, it's creating a culture war and a division of power. And I know some people are going to say, but you can still make money and you can still be a business person in this new climate. That may be true, but it was much easier 30 years ago when my parents were young to own, like, if you wanted to start a business. Like, today it's much harder. The bar has been set much higher, and there are more opportunities nowadays just given to people that have more money in this country, and that's the truth. And this is not a socialist viewpoint, that's just reality. That is the reality of 2025. That is the reality of the big beautiful bill. There was nothing beautiful about it. Like, it was the worst piece of legislation. It was passed by groups that resented that Americans that are lower income had health care. And I regret that I ever did a live stream with this lady. Like, because I thought, oh, we have certain things in common. She's more introverted like me. Like, we have certain interests. Like, she likes art. I like art. But she always had, like, certain viewpoints that kind of bothered me. Like, she thought that there shouldn't be a school lunch program for kids. And I always thought, that's kind of weird. And it was always based on her own. Like, she would have these anecdotal reasons, like, because my mom would pack a lunch for me, and why should kids have a school lunch? And all along, all she ever believed was that people that had less than her should just try and get along in life, and that they shouldn't have any handouts, because she viewed any social safety net program, like, she thought Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty was a failure. But actually, Americans in many ways are doing better since there have been social safety nets implemented, like school lunch programs, low-income housing. And I'm not saying that people should be stuck in that for life, but it gave people an alternative. Like, people that want to get rid of these completely, they're okay with, like, many people being homeless. They don't care, as long as they don't have to see you, though. That's another thing. They don't want any social safety nets, but they just want everybody, like, and then some people, they just really hate homeless people, and they don't realize this current economy literally makes it to where some people are homeless. People have reasons that they can't afford housing. There are people living in their cars. Homelessness is becoming more rampant. And I mean, there's just so many social issues you could go on all day about. But the key point is, I feel like libertarianism, and I thought about doing this on my main channel, but I decided not to do this on YouTube because I regret ever doing a live stream with this lady who basically, she just doesn't like other people unless they think like her. She says she's pro-freedom, but she's like pro having a president that is taking taxpayer dollars and taking out loans to fund ICE. And, you know, I don't believe that undocumented immigration was the biggest issue that we had. Because these people that they're targeting, they don't commit crimes. They're working in fields, they're working in warehouses, they're working at jobs that the average Americans wouldn't do, okay? They're not criminals. But, you know, there's a lot of Americans born in the U.S. that commit crimes. What about them? Why aren't we worried about that? But they're targeting these people because there's a group of people, and this goes throughout U.S. history, they have a white nationalist, Anglo-Saxon Protestant viewpoint that they only want certain kinds of people to, like, do well in life. And I know some people are going to be like, but I'm not white and I support Trump. But at this point, if you support Trump, and I was willing to give him a chance, I did not vote for him. I did not like him. I thought, well, maybe it'll be okay, because the first term, it wasn't a walk in the park, but it was a little bit more sensible back then. But now all the guardrails are off, and I'll tell you why I'm totally against it now, is because of the people that follow him that thinks it's okay to be rude, mean, cruel, and insensitive to other people. Like, there are people with malice on social media who think it's okay to run around, like, saying whatever they want to people in real life and on social media, because we have a president who made fun of a journalist with special needs. That's not okay, okay? It's not presidential, and it's not okay. Like, I don't ever hear Trump say anything, like, to build other people's up, unless it's somebody that's, like, speaking so kindly to him, but he's willing. And, oh, did you hear the story about how some ICE agents were spotted urinating near a high school? These are not made up stories, friends. I know all the Trump supporters are going to be like, oh, this was not happening during Biden. I know everybody's like, Biden was horrible because he had dementia. He may have had some, you know, cognitive decline. But if you notice when Trump gave his little speech about Israel versus Iran and using the F word, that looked like cognitive decline to me too. And I believe his advisors are running the show too. I don't think Trump is as in control as you guys think he is, but he has a group of people that want to carry out a very censorship agenda. Like, now I hear they want to censor books at schools. And I'm just not into this. I'm not into this. And guess what? I have more of a, Like for my own self, like I'm not wild. I don't party. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I live a very clean life. But that wasn't Trump. Trump was wild. He used to have wild parties. He had mistresses. He's not some Christian paragon. And all these people that he is promoting and all this legislation that he thinks is beautiful is just going to hurt the economy. Like, I'm not a fan of it. And I ended up not doing a live stream with this lady anymore on YouTube just because it got so cruel. Like she said, and this was the part that made me disgusted. She said that, and this was the thing that did it for me, was when Israel started just bombing Palestine. She said they have to get Hamas. And it's okay if children die, because she called them collateral damage. And I'm like, oh my God, they're human beings. She goes, well, that's okay. If some people die, they're going to get Hamas. And I'm like, they're literally just bombing this place to the ground. And she told me anybody that did not agree with her and her viewpoint. And I'm like, there's actually Israelis that are criticizing this. They're criticizing what Bibi did. And she goes, well, that is collateral damage. And they just, and basically, so she is a libertarian conservative. She voted for Trump. She talks about it on her channel all the time. She has the freedom of speech to do that. But I'm just going to say this. I was trying to stay away from politics for a long time, but I'm so glad that I don't do a live stream with this lady anymore, because she said, I don't know, I looked at it after the election. She said that she was glad she had freedom of speech now because she can say whatever she wants on her channel. And it might not be extremely out there, like some people that get really, really riled up. But she has a lot of similar views. And there's a lot of people that they think like, so basically she always believed in small government. But now she's okay with the federal government overreaching, breaking the Constitution, wasting taxpayer dollars to like fund ICE, which is not doing anything peaceful for our communities. And this is the fun part. Oh, sending aid, like lots of foreign aid to other countries to do wars that have nothing. I'm not saying any politician is the best, but I do think Democrats are better. And that's just where I'm going to vote. That's where I'm going to stand. I'm not ever going to support, like, third parties are nice in theory, but I think they cause division, distraction, and they help somebody like Trump win elections. That's just my viewpoint on it. I never wanted to politicize my channel to this degree. I used to talk about politics on YouTube a little bit just because I am interested and I have a history degree, but I don't like these libertarian people who pretend like they're pro-small government, because funding ICE and violating federal judges that put injunctions on like rulings of Trump, that's not small government. Yeah, we're not interested. See, you always have people that say things like that. That's not what my channel's about. Like, I know some people think that they can come on to TikTok and act that way, but nah, bye. Yeah, so here's the thing. This is my thing. Trump has gone too far. He needs to be impeached, okay? Is it going to happen with a majority Republican House, Senate? No, it won't. But he does not have your best interests. He does not have my best interests. And so right back in 6 months, okay, is the economy better under Trump? Because it's not. Everything he told you was a lie. And he did it because he wanted to be reelected. And he was not like John F. Kennedy, who said, don't ask, what I can do, ask what you can do for your country. He said that his life is better now that he's president, and he wouldn't have had that much of a future if he had not been reelected. It was all about him. And that's the new era we live in. And the people who promote him, I never hear anybody talk about what they want to do for their community, like MAGA people. I never hear them talk about how they want to build others up. I see a lot of them think, oh, it's okay to go after whichever group that they don't like with malice in their voice and heart. And now it's like accepted. And they're like, but we have freedom of speech. That doesn't mean you get to treat people like crap. No. Like, there was some lady, this was on Instagram actually, who was crying, okay? She was crying because some guy went into Publix or some other grocery store, called her the B word, the F word, told her she was too fat to be shopping in the store, and flipped her off. And I'm like, honestly, she should have went to management and like told them to look at the camera, because that's not allowed. But when you have a president who says things like our president does about people and kind of makes fun of certain groups of people that do not meet his criteria, you have groups of people that are emboldened to do things like that. And I know people are going to be like, oh, but that's happened all the time. But you're seeing it more on social media now, and that's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is where two different people have different political beliefs and they talk about it civilly, not calling each other names, not flipping each other off, or going and like harassing somebody in the general public. There's just a lot of behavior that I don't think is cute or mindful. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, if you believe that Trump is the wonderful president, I'm not going to keep you from listening to him and following him. I'm just going to say, I don't believe in the libertarian lie. Like, libertarians told the biggest lie. They said they were all pro-small government. Maybe some libertarians that didn't vote for Trump that still stand on this civil liberties platform who actually truly believe in small government, which I always thought, well, that's not really going to work. But all the pro-Trump libertarians, they lie to you. They're like, oh, he's so small government. No, what they like is they're going to get a tax cut. Some of them that have more money, they're going to, like, he deregulated things that impact them personally. So they like that. They like that, oh, like, they're not going to have to follow certain regulations. That's all. They benefited from it in some way, but I know that's human nature, but that's not what I'm about or my channel is about. I'm about, like, caring about other people, and I still think we should care about other people. You can vote conservative, but I would think about who you're voting for and what politician you support. But hey, at the end of the day, this is another reason I don't love politics. But now we kind of have to be more aware because of what the politicians are doing, you know. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.